Where are the Arabs? Why aren't Palestine's Muslim neighbors supporting it like they did before? The ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, especially the devastation in Gaza, has prompted a deeply emotional and pressing question. Where are the Arabs? This sentiment is echoed by countless Gazans and supporters worldwide, questioning why Arab nations are not standing in solidarity with Palestine as they did in the past. Despite widespread public support for Palestine in the Arab world, the response from Arab governments has been largely restrained. To understand this shift, we must explore the historical, political, and societal changes that have reshaped the Middle East. A fractured Arab response. Arab governments' reactions to the current Gaza conflict, ignited by Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7, have ranged from diplomatic gestures to calls for ceasefires, but they stop short of decisive action. Unlike previous decades when Arab countries fought wars against Israel or engaged in collective diplomatic moves, today's response is marked by hesitancy and self-interest. Political science professor Walid Khazia from the American University in Cairo points out that no Arab government has severed ties with Israel or imposed diplomatic or economic sanctions. Offers of mediation from Qatar and Egypt aside, direct action supporting Palestine has been conspicuously absent. Disconnect between governments and public sentiment. Public opinion across the Arab world remains strongly pro-Palestinian. People express solidarity on social media, demanding government action such as cutting ties with Israel or expelling diplomats. However, authoritarian regimes fear mass protests could spiral into broader unrest against their own rule. Demonstrations, once tolerated, are now suppressed in many countries, leaving digital platforms as the primary space for expression. The legacy of historical divisions. The history of Arab nations' relationships with Palestine is complex. While the Palestinian cause once united the Arab world, regional rivalries and internal conflicts have created deep divisions. Countries like Lebanon and Jordan have a contentious history with Palestinian refugees, while civil wars and political instability in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen have weakened the collective Arab response. In earlier decades, Arab countries fought wars against Israel, motivated by both national and pan-Arab interests. However, peace treaties like Egypt's Camp David Accords, 1979, and Jordan's Wadi Araba Treaty, 1994, marked a turning point. These agreements normalized relations with Israel, signaling a prioritization of national stability over regional solidarity. Evolving geopolitical interests. Modern Arab governments often prioritize economic partnerships and national security over ideological alliances. The Abraham Accords, brokered by the United States, further normalized relations between Israel and countries like the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco. Even Saudi Arabia, historically a strong supporter of Palestine, came close to establishing diplomatic ties with Israel before the recent conflict. Dov Waxman, director of the Nazarene Center for Israel Studies at the University of California, notes that Arab nations' policies are driven by national interests rather than unwavering solidarity with Palestine. While public sympathy for Gaza remains genuine, governments prioritize alliances with powerful nations like the US and avoid jeopardizing these relationships. The rise of authoritarianism. Post-Arab Spring. The Arab Spring, 2010 to 2012, profoundly altered the region's political landscape. Protests demanding democracy and social rights destabilized many nations, resulting in civil wars in Yemen, Syria, and Libya. Countries like Egypt face severe economic crises, while authoritarian regimes have tightened control, restricting freedoms and suppressing dissent. The fear of unrest has led many governments to curb pro-Palestinian demonstrations. This suppression reflects a broader pattern where authoritarian regimes prioritize maintaining power over addressing external conflicts, including the Palestinian cause. Islamist resistance and regional tensions. The shift in Palestinian resistance movements from nationalist to Islamist ideologies has also alienated some Arab governments. Groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, rooted in Islamic concepts such as martyrdom, are viewed as threats by several regimes. Hamas's ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, a group banned in countries like Egypt and the UAE, further complicate its relationship with Arab governments. Additionally, Hamas's and Hezbollah's links to Iran raise suspicions. Gulf states perceive Iran as a greater threat than Israel, aligning with US and Israeli narratives that portray these groups as Iranian proxies. This dynamic has led to limited Arab support for Palestinian resistance, with some regimes tacitly favoring Israeli efforts to weaken Hamas. Generational and identity shifts. A generational change in leadership and public identity has also contributed to the declining emphasis on Palestine. Younger leaders in the Gulf, such as Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman, prioritize modernization and economic reform over pan-Arab unity. Educated in the West, these leaders often view the Palestinian issue as a historical burden rather than a pressing concern. Similarly, younger generations in the Arab world, shaped by globalization, lack the historical context of the conflict. Arab nationalism, once a unifying ideology, has faded, leaving fragmented identities and shifting priorities. Conclusion: a changing Arab world. The Palestinian cause, once a rallying point for the Arab world, has lost its centrality in the face of geopolitical realignments, internal instability, and changing societal values. While public sympathy for Palestine remains strong, Arab governments prioritize national interests, economic stability, and alliances with global powers. The question where are the Arabs? Reflects not only the despair of Palestinians but also the broader transformation of the Middle East. Questions for discussion. 1. Why have Arab governments shifted their focus away from the Palestinian cause? 2. How has the Arab Spring influenced the region's response to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? 3. What role does generational change play in shaping Arab leaders' priorities? 4. How do regional rivalries with Iran impact Arab countries' support for Palestine? 5. Can public opinion in the Arab world pressure governments to take stronger action? This analysis can form the foundation of an engaging and thought-provoking YouTube video that delves into the complexities of the Middle East and the Palestinian struggle.